The Word of God today, especially the Gospel of Matthew, and the parable that Jesus has told to the people, they would have understood it quite clearly for them, because oftentimes there would have been men waiting to be called to work. And this would have been a life or death issue. It would not have been just a simply, they're lazy and they don't have any work. It would have been a matter, had they not been able to get work that day, their family would not have had a chance to eat anything that day. So that's the perspective of the gospel. And the landowner, as he shows generosity and mercy at the same time, is very much in the parable saying to us, that's the way God is for us. That's the kind of mercy, that's the kind of generosity that God has for us. No matter when we get into the train, if you will, get on the train of life, that's the kind of generosity and love He's also calling us to. It's an example of that true story that happened for me. I happened to be in the airport after a meeting a few months ago. We were still wearing masks, of course, at that time, and cleansing and doing all the things and separating and all that. And I needed a shoe shine. So I went and sat in the shoe shiner's chair, and he shined my shoe. Both shoes. Thank God. And as he had me sign in, I noticed no one else had signed in that day. And this was about 10 o'clock in the morning. And so I was waiting on my flight. My flight was about to go, and then they postponed it. And then they postponed it, and then they postponed it, and then they postponed it. You've seen the movie, it's okay. I got a lot done, though, I can tell you, with phone calls and stuff and all that. But in the meantime, I watched him. And he invited a number of people to have their shoe shine, and they didn't want their shoe shine. So at that point, I'm thinking, man, I was the only one he had. And I gave him a really nice tip for him to be able to have lunch. So that part is fine. It's just I began to think, that perhaps I ought to do more for him, because he's not going to have enough money to feed his family that night. Well, at the moment then, my flight got called. So I'm thinking of this as I'm walking on the plane. It's a moment for me still, that's why I share it with you. Did I miss an opportunity of generosity? I'm going to be talking to my spiritual director about this one, I can tell you, for sure. But did I miss a moment of generosity that was right there in front of me? And so that's the first question to us. The moment of generosity and mercy may be seated right next to us, or it may be at home, or it may be somebody that we know. Who needs us? Who needs our love? Who needs us to be a sign of the generosity and the mercy of Jesus Christ to them? Who's suffering in our families? Who's suffering in our community? Is it a neighbor? So another true story. And this one is really tugging on my heart. It's been tugging on my heart for about 3 years since I've been your mission. And that's the homeless. Did you know that across the street from Our Lady of Fatima Church, there is a golf course that was destroyed in Katrina, and it has become the city for the homeless. There are 23 locations on that property of homeless people. 23. And you can imagine what it's like to be homeless at this time, having dodged hurricanes and stuff recently. And so the question to us as a community is, where's our mercy? Where's our mercy? Where's our generosity? Now, to celebrate our St. Vincent de Paul people, I just need to let you know, they have been there for our homeless. They are really the sign of the heart of the church to the homeless. They have even been there even this time. We don't have Our Lady of Fatima's day center for homeless open right now because of the COVID thing, but we do have food coming from there. Now, just to toot our horn a little bit, we have given out 1.5 million pounds of food since the beginning of the year in 100 different locations. Now that we can celebrate as a church. That we can celebrate in a big way. We've had hundreds and hundreds of people that we've helped with different things in their lives. The people that were hit by the tornado in Laurel, all of them are housing because of us. The people that were flooded out in Stone County, all of them are back in their housing because of us. Now, all of those are wonderful. So it's not all a dark picture. But we as a faith community, especially in the Diocese of Biloxi, need to take a hard look at what we're doing for the homeless and what we can do for them. Where is God's mercy for them? Where is God's generosity for them? I raise it as something we need to strive for as a community. What can we do as a community to reach out to the homeless? One last story, and then I'm going to sit down, okay? I was at Our Lady of Fatima, and I visit the homeless monthly there, and this was pre-COVID. And we had a young lady come in with a baby in arms, and she'd been kicked out of the house by her boyfriend. And as we discussed with her, we tried to find places for her to go, but we could not find any place except for a motel for a couple of days. Now I can tell you, as bishop standing there trying to help her, my heartstrings were pulled looking at that little baby too. I'm thinking, man, as a community, we need to have a place for someone like this to be able to go, and we don't. So the gospel really speaks loudly to us as a community, where it says we are called to the kind of generosity and the kind of mercy that the landowner had, that God has for us, and that we are to image to our faith community. So pray for the homeless, and pray that we may find a way to be able to